Good evening. It's Wednesday, September 7th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole. What separates our show from other millennial news podcasts?
That we know and agree why it's important not to refill bottles at bars.
Oh, God, super important. We have a boomer, and not just any boomer. We have Mr. BoomerRex himself.
Why don't you refill bottles at
Because
bars?
they'll put garbage and not the stuff in it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, no.
That's why it's illegal as shit. You 2 weeks live and breathe politics, and I'm still learning that's 3 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round
Yes, that
table.
you should only order top shelf booze if you're doing shots. If they're making it in a mixed drink, shut up.
Yeah.
But that's also why when you go to bars, they actually
shots.
have the bottles.
Yeah.
Which may or may not mean anything.
Oh, yeah.
I ordered a Beefeaters on the Rocks in
You're
a
at a good
fairly
bar.
good
Yes.
restaurant. And what they brought was not Beefeaters. And I called the maitre d' over and I said, I ordered Beefeaters and that's not it. Take it back and get me some Beefeaters.
Yep.
He said, yes, sir. He came back and he said, you were right. He said, we're so sorry. They just poured it from the wrong bottle.
Oh, see, so that's not.
Yeah, but that is the whole
Yeah.
reason why the bar has the bottles up front and on display.
Yeah.
Yep. So
There
you
is
can
at
watch them
least a
pour it, yeah.
belief in the faith that
Yeah.
what's in there is kind of related to what I'm asking for.
But that's also
Meanwhile,
why.
Chernabog was going, fuck, he actually can tell the difference.
But that's also why they make it super illegal to pour,
Okay.
because even if you're pouring the same stuff, they don't know that.
Yeah.
So you got to go.
Well, and there's
through
not a lot
the
of
whole
point in
bottle.
refilling one bottle from another
Yeah.
of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy that.
All right. Well, it does change pour rates and stuff. That can get dodgy, but in any case, tonight it's Burn It Down Wednesday with a twist. Tonight it's asshole's turn.
No, it's not. Oh, wait.
So this will be exciting. So let's dig right into our headlines. Drummers rule. What do they rule? Why are they ruling?
Occasionally in the wild, you'll see chimpanzees beating on the roots of giant trees, and when they're hitting it hard, it makes a noise.
Mm-hmm.
They have a signature drumming style. They are able to communicate who they are, where they are, and what they're doing with their drumming. And the anthropologists who were watching this, and probably not anthropologists, whatever they are, chimpologists.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Learned almost immediately that they could locate chimps by their drumming, specific chimps, if they wanted to go look at them and see how they were doing and so forth. So I just love it.
Now you got to set up a big speaker and start talking back to them.
Yeah, see if you can get some to come over to you. I am blah, 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 blah. I am over at blah, 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 checking out some chicks. You should come help.
That would be so simple
Yeah.
because you just do it 4 or 5 times. I'm here with goodies, right?
Yep.
And you probably have to use a rubber mallet or something because they really hit those things hard. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool, right? So we keep discovering that all kinds of animals have language, right? Dolphins talk to each other all the time.
Yep.
So anyway, what the hell? I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool. Putin says Russia is doing great.
Yeah, Russia's doing so great
Amazing.
that they're having to buy artillery shells and rockets
Oh,
from,
yeah.
from North Korea. And the reason they're having to do it is because sanctions have shut down their supply lines for those weapons.
That's why it's important not to have your shit require things from outside your control.
Especially if you're going to act like a fucking third world baboon.
If you have to buy shit from North Korea,
Yeah, you're in pretty bad shape.
that's not good.
Well, they tried buying shit from
no
China.
bueno.
You see what happened to the tires they bought. So,
Is the Chinese president still going new phone who dis?
Yep.
yep. And you remember those Iranian-made drones?
Yes.
Yeah, well, some of those showed up inoperative,
No,
which
no.
I find kind of what's what happens when you buy stuff from shitholistan.
Right.
So, wonderful. While we're on the subject of Russia and the Ukraine, Ukraine has denounced Russia's filtration scheme. They've apparently deported 2.5 million people, including 38,000 children.
Yep. Now it's become a war crime.
At this point, I say when you account for and return every one of those people, we will discuss readmitting you to. And at this point, we should be discussing expelling them from the UN.
God. No, we should roll up on them with the FBI.
Oh, peace and rapture.
The FBI has been invited by local police to investigate this missing person.
Yep.
And Russian troops are going to shoot at the FBI twice, and then we're going to go do the other thing.
Yep.
No, fuck them.
Same thing with the nuclear plant. Send NATO to secure the nuclear plant.
And be done with it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
And
Russia
send enough
is-
with instructions that if they can see a Russian vehicle, they should kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, and the Russians keep buying, stuff from Shitholistan. Make sure they have lots and lots of counter battery radar and lots of the latest 155s, which are really good at counter battery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they can fire rockets and run like crazy. Right. And rockets, a truck with a, this welded
I
contraption.
have a question
back.
for later.
Okay.
I think it's hysterical that they're buying shit from North Korea because Kim Jong Un is rubbing his hands together and be like, send them the shittiest stuff we can find.
Right.
Because what? Putin's gonna complain. He's gonna say, "Well, this
No,
was all bad." Like,
That's
no,
the biggest
that's not
problem
gonna
that
happen.
Russia has right now. Is right. That was always Russia's big threat. Is you could sanction them all they want. They would buy their weapons through Hezbollah and all the people they're friends with and nice with and Barnadar. They're no longer big. Enough people are afraid of them.
Right.
Oh, they've proven throughout this whole war they
Yep.
can't take little Ukraine, who didn't
No,
really
they
even
cannot.
have an army, has
No,
no
um,
nukes, has no bombs.
And I'd be tempted to push India with. This is the other reason why I think we should go heavy into Pakistan with aid and friendship because we could always sell Pakistan the weapons we were going to sell India.
Yep.
Fair.
And just mention it to India in passing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'd be talking about.
We hope you're not doing
Our
business with the
BFF.
Russians, but if you were, we might
be
have
talking
to do
about
business
tariffs.
with the.
Right,
So.
that whatever the amount they're benefiting by will come out somewhere.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to find out North Korea is negotiating for nukes.
Oh, I'm sure. Or
That's
technical
something we
expertise
think
in
Russia
whatever.
is supposed to have, and some of
Yeah.
them seem to go off. So,
Let's see.
on the other hand, if they haven't been properly maintained, there's a good chance they won't.
Yeah.
So,
All right, there should be consequences. What's going on here?
speaking of corrupt elections,
Ah, yes.
so the evening before the Michigan state primary,
Fuck me, right?
Wayne County GOP leaders held a Zoom training session for poll workers and partisan observers, warning them about bad stuff happening, and then told them to ignore local election rules barring cell phones and pens from polling places and
Ought to be
vote
a
counting
law.
centers. What?
So there ought to be a law.
Yeah. I expect the rules do not have the force of law. I expect that. Or maybe they do.
I don't know.
I've never been told I
what
cannot
did we-
bring my phone into.
This is for the poll workers.
So as far as cell phones, I would say, maybe just hide it or something, or maybe hide a small pad and a small pen or something, because you need to take accurate notes. And one of the participants, said, we can get tossed out for this. And he said, yeah, well, that's why you've got to do it secretly.
Just straight up saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Not even a quiet part in that sentence.
So, who is it that's corrupting elections? It's the
the
refugs.
Democrats.
Yeah.
That somehow we never have proof of. That's the proof they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
'Cause
that,
there's no
lack,
proof.
all that lack of evidence is
Yep.
all the evidence we need.
Hey, man, it works for God, right?
Yeah. On the other hand, here we go. Round them up.
Yes.
Eamon Bundy and Diego Garcia seemed to be testing the limits of the judicial system.
No.
Tuesday, they continued to ignore a judge's order and didn't show up in court for the second time in a lawsuit. St. Luke's Hospital, which was the one they harassed and has sued them, told the judge it's likely we're going to continue to frequently need the court's help in moving this along. So the judge gave Bundy, who's running as an independent for governor, um, an opportunity to comply. She said she found the men in contempt of court, but explained that she wanted to try lesser sanctions before considering more punitive measures. If a judge said that in my presence,
Right.
I'd be cooperating.
Yep.
Because I think they may have worn this judge's patience thin, and judges can make your life very unpleasant for at least short periods of time.
Well, they've got a phone number they think works for him, right?
Mhm.
They've got a bunch of stuff. They can just wait for him to fly somewhere, and once they're in an airport, they don't have a gun.
So he must sit for a deposition by September the 30th. She set a timeline for St. Luke's and the defendants to follow, and they now have to pay for their own deposition. So, which they could have done in the courthouse with court recorders and so forth. No, they have to hire them. And she said, if they don't appear, then they could face additional punishment. Guys, sounds to me like you've been given your last chance, and you're not going to like what she does to you. So, what the hell? I say round him up.
Yeah.
Fuck around, find out.
Bring him here in handcuffs.
All right, just fuck 'em.
Oh, God. So, again, Elon Musk is a perfect asshole, right? But he makes a deal to buy Twitter and then tries to back out of it and continues to try to back out of it. And so, in a message from him to Morgan Stanley on May the 8th, after Musk had agreed to buy Twitter and Putin invaded Ukraine, Musk wrote, "Let's slow down just a few days. Putin's speech tomorrow could be extremely important. It won't make sense to buy Twitter if we're headed to World War III. Sorry, fucktard, if that's not in the contract, it doesn't mean anything."
Yep.
So I am really hoping the court will force him to buy Twitter.
Yep.
I think that would be amusing as hell.
Yeah.
No, it's dumb as shit not to.
Yeah. Well, what are we, rule of law or not?
Well, and again, it's not like Elon Musk is gonna suddenly be destitute if World War III hits. He's the richest man in the world, isn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know
One of
what he owns that matters to anybody after money's...
After World War III? Yeah.
That's always their problem. They always get all hyped up about security and stuff and then realize, oh, wait, after there's no rules, my security dudes are just going to shoot me and take all my stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when money doesn't matter
And they
anymore,
are.
it doesn't matter
All
how
of
much you
them
have.
everywhere.
So next up, attacks on children's hospitals.
Ugh.
Right. See, this is the new version of the attacks on abortion centers and
Yep.
so forth, right?
Well, and children's hospitals aren't going to throw an elbow.
So anyway, a lot of this is being driven by, the queerphobic Chaya Raichik and her account Lives of TikTok. The fact that account is suspended may help a little bit. But she and her unhinged audience, right, have been directed at pediatric care facilities. It's a flood of online harassment and phone threats and so forth and so on.
Over what?
Because they might provide care for transgendered. Again, it's
You
the
mean
same
the
thing.
5 transgender?
These are the people who think they
children that
have
are
the
in
right
the
to
world.
tell all women what to do with their bodies, and they think the transgendered, they should tell the transgendered what to do because they oppose trans identities, and that their belief in the opposition to trans identities should trump the rights of other people. It's a standard Trumpista, re-thug position
This is-
that somehow their rights are more
You
important.
should do a Kickstarter
This-
to create a fake group that protests against heart medication or
This is a specific move
something. Insulin.
by
Anti-insulin.
these people because it starts with the children and it's going to go from here.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the beginning to make parents and people who listen to this crap feel uncomfortable and like, oh my gosh, maybe I should be worried about what's going on at my local hospital, and maybe I should be worried about what kind of care people and children are getting. Oh my God. So the next big thing is going to be a step up from this.
Oh, sure, to make it illegal. Oh, wait, some states have already done that.
No, it's going to go from this to LGBTQ people in general, whether they're adults or
It's
not.
already done that.
shouldn't be able to have any sort of assistance or be able to get these types of medications and stuff to
Oh, absolutely.
you LGBTQ people don't fucking exist. It's all a lie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Granted, they're already talking that already, but my
It's
point
like the
is
standard
that
refund solution to the homeless.
this is a basic thing that's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and spread.
So promise to build facilities and promise to sweep them into the facilities and then don't build the facilities and just go over and bulldoze their tents and throw their shit away and so forth and arrest them if they don't leave.
Then do
And,
that and not
Homeless
leave. Yeah.
yeah,
Or pack them on buses and send them to the next state over.
yeah.
Or if you're Texas, to, I don't know, now New York and Chicago.
Yeah, they just bus them wherever they feel like nowadays. Drop them off at Washington, D.C. Like,
Actually,
like, thanks, this is where I want to be.
the first few times they did that, the ones who volunteered to go wanted to go to New York. So I love that.
New York is
They're
a
gonna
much better
circle
place
around
to
me,
be.
help them
Let's
have
be
Dahmer
honest.
get a New York,
Way to
and I'm
go,
gonna
Greg
laugh.
Abbott. Providing free transportation for.
Oh my god.
Who knows?
I just figured it out. All I have to do is learn like
How is that
really
not some
heavy
open door
Spanish,
shit?
and then I can get free one-way trips to New York, and then all I have to do is maintain, find a
Yep.
new way to get home.
Just- Yeah.
And just ramble on in Spanish. They don't know Spanish. They
Yeah.
won't know what I'm saying. It's fine.
God, I just
Get a
love
heavy
it.
tan. I'll figure it out. It'll
Yeah.
be fine.
So next up is aw shucks. It just I find this so sad. The Internal Revenue Service has stripped the tax-exempt status from a dark money organization headed by Steve Bannon.
Oh no.
So filings
Yeah,
posted in
nice.
August show the IRS basically rendered citizens of the American Republic defunct because they can no longer accept contributions. And this is the group Bannon founded right after even Donald Trump said Bannon was too crazy to be in public. So, in pressing the case, prosecutors highlighted how citizens for the American Republic received $380,000 from another Manning project, specifically the We Build the Wall, which had crowdfunded cash for the purported purposes of building the border wall and no administrative expenses. Every dollar goes to the wall. And the government's lawyers noted that in text message exchanges, Bannon indicated citizens of American Republic would compensate his partner, Brian Kolfage, for his services to the We Build the Wall. Of course, out of that $380,000 that the We Build the Wall sent them.
For an administrative fee.
Yep. So, what the hell can I say? I love it. And as long as we're going down that line, let's do about damn time. Bannon is going to surrender himself for arrest in D.C.
I thought he was all crazy time.
Well, yeah, I mean, the day before he said they're coming for all of us, and not only for President Trump and me, but I'm never going to stop fighting. Vowed, in fact, I haven't even begun to fight. They'll have to kill me first. And I am, of course, reminded of the wonderful line from Men in Black, "Your proposal is acceptable."
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, fuck him.
Um,
Enjoy, Dum Dum.
Anyway, he's apparently about to be indicted on state charges closely related to the federal charges for which Trump pardoned him. And no, this is not double jeopardy.
No.
This is a separate state law. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay,
we'll see
cool.
what happens. The indictment will come out on Thursday, supposedly. So
All right.
anyway,
Pretty
after
exciting.
he surrenders himself.
Sounds good to me.
Let's see. Ready for dumbass du jour?
Oh, yeah, I skipped a whole section on my notes. So
You just do what you feel.
I saw the Ted Cruz thing, and
There you
my
go, the internet.
brain just went
Dial tone.
Oh,
do do do.
Oh, I was thinking that when you left it off the hook too long.
well, that's Ken Cruz in a nutshell.
Technical difficulties.
Somebody
Please-
left him off the hook too long. I
Please hang up
fucking
and
love
try
it.
again.
It applies to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So anyways, Senator Ted Cruz is advocating against legislation in the Senate that would protect existing same-sex marriages. What it does is it says that any legitimately married same-sex couples enjoy their rights as a married couple in every nationally, right? It simply enforces the states having to honor Right. But of course he goes.
This is weak sauce, by the way. I'm disappointed in you Democrats. This is fucking weak. Anyway, sorry.
So anyway, so Cancun Cruz is saying this bill without a religious liberty protection would have massive consequences, weaponizing the Biden administration to go and target universities, K-12 schools, social service organizations, and churches, and strip them of their tax-exempt status, none of which is in the bill. It's just Ted Cruz running off at the mouth.
That's what he does.
And that's what he does. Good old Cancun Cruz. And that'll take us right into Marjorie Taylor Greene's smokescreen of the day. Margie? God, you got to find some new writers. I mean, you're getting stale, chick. Jesus Christ. So she had to go through the whole thing about the litter box in the restroom to accommodate children identifying as furries, for which there's absolutely no evidence. It's absolute bullshit. Even her interviewer laughed and said, I thought that was from The Onion.
So I did some research into this. It's been stated in Michigan, in Iowa. She's claiming it's happening in Texas. So this is something that kind of every Karen that lives somewhere is saying, oh no, they're trying to do that in my school too. That's crazy. No, it's not fucking
Maybe they'll
happening.
Maybe they'll choke themselves as they clutch their pearls. Now, I will say I can see circumstances under which it would happen, because with all the noise the retards are making, right? I could see some fairly bright high school students bringing in a litter box and putting it in the bathroom.
I wouldn't call them bright. I would call them like
Troublemakers.
dumb.
I call them troublemakers like I was when I was in high school. If this had happened when I was in high school, I'd have done it.
I
Period.
definitely fucked with things the adults were like extra hyper bad.
But I will say I was very disappointed with Snopes on this one. They took a weak stance on this, and they said cannot confirm. They called it, whatever, weak sauce instead of saying false, which
Yeah.
is false.
No, the
They
correct
said,
statement is it's false until somebody turns up with evidence.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it should be false, and it should state, as they did in the thing,
They
that
came down
there
with the
was no
argument about the
evidence.
Australian kid being a cat. That, well, shit, we don't know, and no one's in a hurry to go ask them.
Yeah.
Well, but again, this is all American. This is nothing to do with Australian whatever. So, fuck that
They know
girl.
that the media will open fire on them the instant there's any kind of debatable question.
No, but the fact that they spoke to the woman who supposedly made the complaint,
yes,
and the woman who
for
made
sure.
the complaint
Had
had
no
no
evidence to offer. Yeah.
And then they spoke to the person who supposedly the claim originated from this woman, and he said, no, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
Here's the full context of what that discussion was. No, that's not actually what happened.
absolutely agreed. And
No, but I'm happy with Snopes taking a very conservative path.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. I would have called it false until we find new information. End of discussion.
Yep.
Unless somebody can provide us positive confirmation that this was a joke from some kids or something, photos, I don't know, any sort of evidence, which nobody has anything of, I would call it blatantly false. End of discussion. But that's just me, and I hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I hate that people have.
Oh, I love the
discussions
fact
with
that she's retreading this stuff from 18 months ago. I mean,
yeah.
again, she's just run out of horseshit to say.
she never had new shit to say.
I know. Well, she never had anything to say that was either valid or true or any of the rest of it. She's just a screecher.
Yep.
Yep.
So.
All right. Angels do exist. Let's go. What the fuck?
So I'm a little shocked that Provo, Utah had a back-to-school Pride Night
Okay.
at BYU. It's an event that connects queer Brigham Young University students, faculty, and staff, and locally supported businesses, students, and community members, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They had a family-friendly performance by 12 drag queens. No nudity, no nothing, just children's stories. Including some current and former BYU students. They had live music from local and touring bands. They had an art show. They had 80 vendors. So 100 protesters show up and are shouting about pedophile and groomer and you're going against God and stop protecting the homos and Christ is king, all those brilliant things they always shout. They were wildly outnumbered by the attendees, but there were also some counter-protesters, and among those were a dozen angels. Have you seen the angels?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's people who stand between, right? And they have a plastic pipe structure that they wear and then hang sheets from them. So they have like a 12-foot wingspan.
Right.
And they stand next to each other and just get between the shouters and the, right? So the people who are doing their thing can't see the twisted faces of the haters. So anyway, I just thought it was kind of cool, and I like the idea of angels. I think that's pretty cool.
No, I think that's cute, and it kind of reminds me of the people who volunteer at abortion centers, where everybody who pulls in gets an angel who walks with them, and they'll cover them up, and they'll guide them
They
in.
get to fight back.
They what?
There's a handful of places where they get to really respond.
Where if somebody touches them, they're allowed to.
You're always
Take it
allowed
out.
to. If you're assaulted, hit back.
Yeah, but there's plenty of places where they're asking you not to do that, so that you're not going to get to volunteer a second time.
Yeah, fine.
But, as I said, I like the ones where that's not the case.
Yep.
All right. Barr trying to worm his way back to normal.
Yeah, well, we've already
let him.
seen Barr trying this really hard and saying, well, Biden won and so forth and all this other stuff. Now, we're talking about a guy who intentionally misrepresented the results of the investigation into Trump and Russia and so forth and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And we now have the unredacted stuff to say that everything Barr said in his summary was false.
Wow.
Right? He carried Donald Trump's water for years.
Yeah.
But I love it because now he's saying the ruling that appointed a special master is deeply flawed, and the Justice Department should appeal it.
Oh, yeah, that's what
The
everybody's
opinion, I
saying.
think, was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways. And he said this I love it when Republicans argue with each other. It's so much fun to watch.
Okay.
And you have people like Barr who's trying so hard to become relevant again in, the Republican circuits that are actually invited to the dinner parties.
Right.
So, and it's like Kushner whining that he's lost friends. Why would anybody on earth ever have been his friend? Have you seen him?
Money and power.
Yeah, well, apparently money and power is not enough for some folks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm fucking thunderstruck.
So, I love it.
All right. Updates with BoomerRex health threads.
So, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the world.
Oh, no.
The incidence of early onset cancers, that is those that are diagnosed before age 50, including cancers of the breast, colon, esophagus, kidney, liver, pancreas,
Everywhere we went with science.
have dramatically increased
That's fine.
over the past few decades.
What?
So they've looked at lots of analysis of the available data,
Yeah.
including information on early life exposures and stuff like that. And say from their data, they're observing something called birth cohort effect. That is, that each successive group of people born at a later time appear to have a higher risk of developing cancer later in life, likely due to early exposure to risk factors, which of course are doing nothing but getting worse.
Huh. That's crazy.
What was it? Rainwater everywhere
Yeah. Can't drink it anymore.
contains forever chemicals.
Yep.
That's fine.
Wonderful.
Yeah. No,
Maybe we ought to think about cleaning some of this shit up.
well, and especially you'd think you'd hear that from the people who, like, God put us in charge of the world nonsense.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done a bad job managing it.
Yeah, we're the worst pets.
So next up, of course, is climate weirding. And again, we're right back to the thing about climate weirding, right? The crisis in Jackson, Mississippi,
Yeah.
right, is an example of what climate weirding causes.
Yep.
That you had a water system that was marginally adequate for the climate you thought you had, and now that climate is changing and your water system can't keep up. And so now you've got pipes full of dirty water and so forth. Even now you have pressure and you're pumping good clean water. It's going to take weeks to wash all the shit out of the pipes so that you can stop boiling water.
Right.
So again, this is we're talking about a city of 150,000 where the water stopped because they got some unusual flooding.
Yeah.
Right? So again, that's the whole point behind climate weirding.
Yeah.
Is it's going to break lots and lots and lots of stuff. And this is, Jackson's not the only place had their water system wrecked by a flood. And that's going to continue to happen. That as you get climate, all of Southern California is about to get their water system wrecked because there ain't no water, right? The climate is changing, and not necessarily in predictable ways.
Yeah.
And changing in unpredictable ways is even worse.
Right.
Right? Because then there's no basis for planning.
Right.
Floods this year, droughts for 10 years, floods next year, just...
And that matters because that's going to be what determines the value of local bond issues and the rest of the things that let government do any of the pre-planning stuff. Because it's only government that's going to care about this scale. Because if Nestle were headquartered in Jackson, Mississippi, they'd move.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. If they couldn't even bring their employees, which they can, they would.
Yeah. They'll go find some place where they can steal somebody else's water.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen to property values in Southern California when water is $1 a gallon.
Yep.
Right? And comes in jugs.
Hey, it'll be rich people only. They'll be so happy. Well, we'll turn into our own little horrible Qatar in places. This will be dope.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. So now it is Asshole's turn for Burn It Down Wednesday with Asshole.
Yeah.
So tell us your story.
A tragical story of Cedar the goat.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Poor Cedar.
this young girl is raising the goat, and yes, from the articles I read...
It's part of the 4-H program. They raise the goats.
They
and
auction
sell
the
them.
goat.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we've got a local thing that does similar.
It's identical.
Fine. Where you just run it through to raise money, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, this young girl decides at kind of the absolute last-ass second, because if she'd even decided that morning before they showed up with the goat, this is a whole different fight.
Yeah.
But doesn't want the goat to get smoked. Fine. Parents say they'll pay the fair's cut, right?
Yeah.
So the original winner
Whatever
is a
fee,
aide to a governor and a senator, and right, they're obviously down with, yeah, no, the little girl can keep the goat.
Like,
Neither of my bosses want me to be the center of the story of, no, I'm killing that little girl's goat right now. Bring me a knife.
So one thing you have to remember
Make her
is
watch.
that when it comes to these sorts of events, people tend to overbid for the meat to reward
As a way
the
to reward the
children
students. Yeah.
for doing a good
Lure them
job.
into future farmers of
So
the damned.
here, when it happens, little girl goats get snapped right up because they go off to make more little goats.
Yep.
Little boy goats either don't sell or they get sold for meat.
Yep.
So
And I'm guessing theater.
we knew a young woman who had raised a pair of goats, a boy and a girl, and took them to the auction. And there are 2 days of auction. And the first day, the little girl sold, and so she brought the little boy goat back and put him in a pen. And he was frantic.
Mm-hmm.
His sister was gone. He didn't know what was going on. He cried out, ran around, looked for her. So we took pity on him and we said, fine, we'll buy the little boy goat. And I think we paid $25 for him. It was like nothing.
Yeah.
And he wasn't very big. He was tiny. So little tiny goat. And for 2 years, he had a wonderful life at the ranch. And he had a little girl who was his friend who was like 4, and they would wander around. She would put her arm over his neck, and the two of them would literally walk all over the ranch together and so forth. And then he would try to get in her car to go home.
Yeah, no,
But-
it's a cute story, and you've told it before on
Yep.
the show. So
So even he eventually was sold, and I'm quite certain he went, well, he was given away, and I'm quite certain he went for meat.
Yeah.
fair.
So, but he had 2 good years.
Yep.
So here is Cedar the goat.
Yep. Who
4 months old.
does well, gets $907 or whatever the final is.
And he's worth
So-
about 60.
Original winner says, I don't want the goat because my bosses don't want to be in the middle of this story.
Yeah.
So it devolves to the second bid winner. And the family's like, no, we don't want that. They bounce with the goat. And offer to pay, right? And try and make this all work out in the way that, what the fuck, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. So where I come into this and care about this at all is when the police go 500 mile and 6 jurisdictions over and declare we're taking the goat.
Now, from everything I can tell from all the articles I've read on this, they never spoke to the goat's family. So they never spoke to the daughter's family.
Yep.
They only heard the story from the fair
Yep.
people, and the fair people said, you need to go get this goat. So they drove 500 miles out and 500 miles back
Yep.
on, they crossed 6 jurisdictions
Yep.
to get there, to go get this goat with absolutely no judge
No basis,
ordering
no
it,
nothing.
no
Yeah.
basis for
No, they
the...
went and stole a goat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under color of authority.
Yes.
So, no.
And dragged him back to be murdered.
Yep.
Poor little goat.
And yeah, therein lies the big trouble, is there's no way to fix this now, because Cedar
No.
has been slaughtered.
Yeah. So anyway, the family has sued. I don't know. I don't think the cops have a leg to stand on.
Well,
they had no
no,
reason to go get the goat. They were out of their jurisdiction. They stole a goat.
They're suing on their...
And they said, well, it belonged to the... No, it doesn't. But ownership is a matter for a court to
Yeah,
decide,
that's unknowable.
not some local cop.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no.
If I sat on that jury, they would regret their mistake for the rest of their natural lives.
Yeah.
No, this is offensive in just so many ways, and one of them being, as Boomer was saying, that these cops decided that they were judge, jury, and in this case also executioner.
No, I don't think they murdered him, but
They did by retrieving him and giving him to the people
surrendering him to be
who
murdered.
were going
Yes,
to
I
murder
agree.
him. So I will add that on personally, not saying they can be charged for that. But what the family is suing over is their 4th and 15th
Bingo.
Amendment.
That's the part I would actually stay with, because the rest is cute, but no, it's that they can seize property, right? That this is the inevitable outcome of asset forfeiture, and the rest. The police now believe they can determine who owns what.
Yeah.
And
So
that
let's
should
teach
scare
them
the
that's
shit
not
out
true.
of everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
because technically, this goat was the property of this little girl who was under the age of 10 years old. I'm assuming she's probably around the age of 8 from what I've
Yeah.
heard. of
She's
what
under
he read.
18, so any contract 4-H had with her is not
Exactly.
valid.
She can break that contract
Yeah.
anytime she wants, and
Do
that's
not
the
doubt
law.
that contract is written to, but we'll see.
No, but that's the law in... Where did this happen again? Anyway, from what I've read, they're saying that the law is underage people are allowed to back out of these types of contracts. And there is no actual rule in the fairgrounds and in the 4-H club that says that you can't change your mind and decide to keep it.
Yep.
So,
No, and this should have been handled through court, right? This should have been
This
summonses.
should have been handled when the parents offered to pay for the
damn
goat.
sure. But the only involvement the state should have been willing to do is go, cool, give them a summons. You can all talk to a judge. Mm-hmm. You're all very annoying.
Yeah, and bring your goat.
Yep.
but again, this was improperly handled,
Yep.
inappropriately dealt with, and now it's become a
Yeah,
big
and so
fucking
my
deal.
only question is, right, this is where I want the lawsuit to drag out all the communications for
Yep.
the officers involved, because who sent them? Right, my big concern here is that this is going to be one of those things about details, because that has always been my major concern, where, like, local businesses can rent some police. And cool, but that pays a huge amount more than just being a cop, which means that the police now have an incentive to keep that going, kind of regardless of
Yeah.
rules. So, no, I've seen cops be much more aggressive when they're doing, right, extra paying work than...
No, and again, there's a reason why cops have, certain jurisdictions. And
Yeah.
the fact that they crossed it's not like they went next door. They drove through 6 separate
Yeah, they were not in the
jurisdictions
jurisdiction where they had
where they are allowed to
And
have
the
any
story hasn't
authority.
run into, oh yeah, so they snagged up a local cop to go with them.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because sure,
Again,
you could
the
tell me
details
that,
matter.
but
But you still have to bring the goat back and put him somewhere while the court decides who he belongs to.
yep.
So,
Yeah, worst case, you put them in the pound until it's sorted out.
yep.
Leave him in place. Fuck, you know where the goat is.
Yeah.
But no, this I agreed when he was saying he wanted to do this as his Burn It Down Wednesday because
Yeah.
this little girl, this goat was her best friend. She decided she didn't want to put it to slaughter. She decided she wanted to keep it, and the family said that's fine. So that's their decision.
We
I
go to
don't.
outrageous and stupid lengths to artificially extend childhood for everybody because they don't need to know yet, and that's fine. The shitty world managed to make this girl have to know that, yep, nope, sometimes they take your friends and sometimes they chop them up for meat.
Yep.
For no...
And apparently eat him at the celebratory event for the 4-H thing.
It is believed that might have happened. However, no evidence has proved that.
They ate the evidence, supposedly, potentially.
That's evidence tampering.
Allegedly. No, just
Yeah.
fucking horrible. Just somebody start a Kickstarter for that girl, send her off to one of the science schools so she can make a virus and punish all the humans.
Yep.
Humans are for shit. Let's get rid of them.
Oh, I think Gaia's working on that one.
Fucking here. Yeah, no, I'm all about it. Come on, son. I still don't think you'll do it. No, you're a punk. I think that's all you had. You had
It's
one
about
good...
7 more days.
Black hole sun.
Do it!
Won't you come?
Grind away the monkeys.
Black hole
Yeah,
Huh?
that's a song.
Won't you come?
Oh,
Won't you come? I'll stop.
yeah.
I'm getting dirty looks here. All right. So on that note, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review,
Smash that like button on YouTube.
Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex or check your favorite podcasting service for BoomerRexTonight. We can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BoomerRexTonight, and if you Google BoomerRexTonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. Also, if you go to our YouTube page, you'll find direct links to me, RisenLadyHeathen on Twitch. Love you all. And
So I've got a question. On YouTube, can they vote us up or down or only up?
what do you mean?
Both.
They can like and dislike.
Yes.
So hey, if you're gonna watch us for 6 or 7 minutes, give us an up or down. Tell us what you think. It'll help us make a better show. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comments are more important than
Fuck that shit.
Oh,
Send us
absolutely.
money. A duffel bag full of money. My God, I need an airship. What's the worst that could possibly happen? Let's find out.
If you give us a thumbs up, that's great. We'll assume and continue forward as we are. If you give us a thumbs down, we would appreciate a comment as to why.
There you go, and we'll improve the show for you.
Exactly.
You buy me an airship, I'll get a fucking drone army. It'll be cool, the internet.
Yeah.
All right. Love y'all. See you back here tomorrow night for more Boomer Rex tonight.
Good night, y'all.
Manners.